Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the World Championship Finals from Anaheim 2025 for Pokemon Go with P4t0m4n on the winner's side, together here with Beelzeboy on the loser side. What this means is that Beelzeboy has to win 2 best of 5s, while P4t0m4n only needs to win 1 best of 5 to be the next world champion for Pokemon Go. We have some interesting teams, so we can start right into the first battle here. We're going to start off with the Steelix Shadow version against the Lapras. This is going to be a very interesting matchup, as you're going to have the Thunderfang being super effective from that Steelix, doing some solid damage here on that Lapras, and you should be generally able to win this matchup as a Shadow Steelix, as you're going to be able to have more fast move pressure, as the fast moves from the Lapras are all going to be resisted. But of course, you still have to fear that sparkling area. But as you're gonna see here, Corsair is coming in next, and we'll see the straight retaliation from Beelzeboy here with the Galarian Moltres. And this is one big thing about this final here right now. It seems like, well, P4t0m4n has the advantage of only needing to win 1 best of 5. Beelzeboy has the team advantage. With Moltres not having a single resistance on P4t0m4n's team, it's going to be one of the most difficult Pokemon to deal with for P4t0m4n, and I expect that Beelzeboy is going to bring this Pokemon every single game. Here, I don't really think that there was any need to go for the Brave Bird. Fly would have easily been enough here to knock out the opponent's Corsair, but of course we're gonna see the shield here as well against the Power Gem, which will have been enough to knock out the Moltres. But as you see here as well, Beelzeboy is going to basically put everything onto this Moltres, and we see the catch perfectly onto the own Lapras, and it's such an interesting matchup. In the current World Championship meta, there is no debate on if you want to run Ice Beam or the Skullbash. Everyone is running Ice Beam for the matchup against Credilli, which is the most common Pokemon by far in the meta, having nearly, I think, 73% meta spread currently, that 73% of the players are running this Pokemon. And just covered, people are running Ice Beam on the Lapras, but also there's some interesting matchups that you're going to be able to win with this move on it. For example, even against the Corsair, in order to knock this one out, you have to run Ice Beam and then Sparkling Area in order to get the KO against it. Here, we see the knockout from that Rock side, but we don't really too scared here of that Marowak. As you see the Brave Bird connecting here, this is easily enough from that Moltres that's loaded on energy in order to knock out the Pokemon here. Heavy damage is coming through indeed, and in comes another Brave Bird to finish up the first battle here from this Moltres. This is easily going to be enough to knock out the Lapras, and we can move on into the second battle, as Beelzeboy is going to be able to win the first one. We are moving on into game number 2, where we're going to encounter most likely the best lead that P4t0m4n could possibly get. We have the Lapras against the I guess if you're going to have, for example, the Annihilate would be even better for the Corsair, but the Lapras matchup is very good for the Corsair, as Corsair runs super effective coverage in the Power Gem. But again, we see the save swap of the Moltres, and this is, I think, the most ideal situation that Beelzeboy can have their Moltres in. Basically, as you see as well again, there's not a single Pokemon that can resist either the Dark typing or the Flying typing on P4t0m4n's team here, which means that we're going to have here always kind of the Moltres as a save swap that doesn't really have a direct answer. The best answer is actually this Credilli, which is going to be able to take some hits a bit easier, but even on 2-shot scenario with all the fast move pressure coming in, it's not going to enjoy this matchup. It's really not going to enjoy this matchup. Yeah, this is going to be here, a shield coming up again. This is going to be very, very interesting as the Rock Tomb is coming through here. And we have now the swap out straight away into the Lapras. But here's the thing, Lapras is going to be able to get a ton of energy here, not doing a lot of fast move pressure at all against the Moltres, but all the energy that you're going to be able to generate on that Lapras is going to go to waste here. It's going to go on to the own Lapras here of Beelzeboy, which can take all the hits. As you see here, everything is resisted, so all the energy P4t0m4n just gained against that Moltres is just going to go to waste. And that's kind of like the awkward scenario here that P4t0m4n is in, where the fast move pressure that is usually on that Lapras doesn't really exist against the Moltres, but the charging pressure that you would have there then kind of also gets negated by the Lapras of Beelzeboy, and that's a very, very smart play by Beelzeboy. But still, this game is not over by any means. We have here the excellent throw of the Sparkling Area, doing quite a solid amount of damage. Are we kind of getting slowly but surely into a range where 1 Sparkling Area is even enough? But Beelzeboy has so much energy stored that they can now unleash against the Galarian Corsair, which is going to do some neutral damage now. It's going to be an interesting one on how this is going to play out. We see the immediate swap out now into the Moltres. A Fly is not going to be enough to take out this Corsair from this range, and so The best play mostly would have been for Padaman to hope it's just the fly and no shield. But with this shield coming up now, we will see that they're going to be able to knock you out. I guess, then again, it makes some sense maybe to no shield this move, to shield this move as well here, just to play it safe. But I'm not too sure if they're going to have enough strength here still left in order to knock out this Steelix that Beelzeboy still has. Steelix is going to be very, very tough at this point for Padaman to get rid of. You still have the energy on that Lapras, and I guess that's kind of the way to go here, because what we want to see here now is that the Lapras comes back in, gets more and more energy, and you see they needed to get the Sparkling Area here. They weren't able to get this done in time, and with that 2 Sparkling Areas, it's going to be enough to now knock out the Steelix. There's nothing that Beelzeboy can do here anymore at this point of time. 2 are easily enough, and we can now move on as well to, I guess, game number 3, because this is going to be a 1-on-1 in the grand final of the Pokemon GO World Championships Series 2025. Moving on to game number 3 here, let's see on what we are going to have. We're going to have the interesting lead here. We're going to have the lead of Marowak against Lapras. It is not as bad as it seems first, and now kind of Padaman could retaliate and kind of do the same thing that Beelzeboy just did in the battle before, trying to go into the Lapras to catch all the energy from the other Lapras. But we will see here that the Steelix is coming in next, and of course, there's always going to be the Moltres in the back. There's not going to be a single game that you're going to see here today where the Moltres doesn't come, because there is no answer to Moltres, so it would be very silly to not bring it if it's so good against Padaman's team. And as we will see, we have the Sparkling Area coming through here. That's going to do a lot of damage. It's not going to knock out the Steelix whatsoever, as we saw already before, but it's going to put them into range where another one is going to knock them out. And we see here now an interesting decision. What do you want to do as Beelzeboy? It makes sense to no shield here. Why? Because you're going to still have that Moltres, which is going to be so safe against the entire team. Now you have the option to either get a ton of energy on your Lapras and get to some Sparkling Areas later on against any Pokemon that they have in the back, or get the energy on the Moltres here, which I like even more, which allows you to now hit anything hard. Like, you literally have no answer directly to it. But we see here the bait of Padaman. Padaman at this point is so far behind, they have to go ahead and try to do something spicy in order to still win this one. But as you see here, there is a no shield from Beelzeboy. Knowing that they would be able to survive that rock side, they played it risky, but it worked out super, super well. Now they are forced to go for that shield. They are forced to go for the shield, because otherwise there is absolutely no way of still winning this battle if the rock side wouldn't go through. Like, if the rock side would go through there, even if it's a bait, it doesn't really matter. You have to play it safe. You just have to play it safe. And as you guys see here, we are going to have a fly coming through. This is going to be very, very interesting, as you have another charge move coming in here as well. This is going to allow you to get the shield from that Marowak. The shield's coming up. We will see the swap out straight away into the Golisopod, and Golisopod is shieldless. This fly is going to one-shot it, and this is going to be it already for game number 3, because there is nothing that Padaman can do here possibly anymore, and this is going to be it for this one. More heavy damage coming through, and yeah, the Marowak just kind of gave up here already at this point. There's nothing. Beelzeboy is going to take the lead here. Next game starting, battle number 4. So, if they are going to be able now to go ahead and win this one, they're going to be able to reset the bracket, which means Padaman basically going to get instead of the W next to the name an L, and it's going to be, again, basically a bracket reset. It all starts from 0 again, but whoever wins next best of 5 would be able to just win it all and would be the world champion. So let's take a look here at the most exciting matchup that you could ever imagine. Lapras against Lapras, with only charge moves that are going to be resisted. But yeah, what you're going to see here is that they're going to play it out quite similarly. They both kind of try to get up to 2 Sparkling Areas in order to kind of react if someone wants to swap out. But I highly doubt that anybody actually really wants to swap out of here. There is no interest for either of them to really swap out, because what are they going to gain with that? Like, what are they technically going to gain with that? Nothing really. Like, they're going to mostly try to go now straight for the next Sparkling Area. The best thing here is just to go straight for your next one to hope that you maybe get the KO before the other one. But as you guys see here, actually that Padaman goes for an extra fast move instead, and Beelzeboy goes straight for the Sparkling Area. Is this going to be enough to knock out Padaman's Lapras here? It is not going to be enough, but maybe just a few more fast moves are going to be enough, and Padaman just barely misses out on that Sparkling Area. And this is going to be a crucial moment here for Beelzeboy, because they're going to be able to now get into their Moltres with a bit of an energy advantage, and in comes the Fortress, which still doesn't want to take hits. But the good thing here for Padaman is that the Fortress is quite a bulky Pokemon, which means it can take hits quite easily. But even like with the bulk that you have on this Pokemon, it doesn't really matter against the Moltres. But maybe it would have been better here for Petalman actually to use a shield first, because then they would have been able to just go ahead and drop the attack. But even then, you're always going to be behind compared to like what Beelzeboy is going to be able to do here, because you also still have to deal with the Steelix, and this is something that is going to be quite scary. And as you see here, there's no point for Petalman to go for a shield. They have to let the move go here. And it's now to Steelix, which has the option to debuff the opponent's Corsola. And as you can see here, I feel like Beelzeboy maybe stayed in for a little bit too long here. They didn't really need the Brave Bird at all, because what we're going to see here as well is that, of course, they just kind of need to go for the Psychic Fangs and try to do a lot of attack, fast move pressure with it. But eventually, what we see is that the Sucker Punch is still going to add up so much that it looks kind of like more like a charge move against this Pokemon, with all of those debuffs, the super effectiveness, the high attack stat of that Moltres, the stab bonus on top of it, the damage that Sucker Punch generally does. It all kind of speaks for Beelzeboy here right now. There's not a lot that Petalman can do anymore. Beelzeboy is using a shield here, which is kind of forcing Petalman just to go straight for the charge moves, which means they cannot keep up anything. And as you see as well, there's still going to be, of course, the Lapras in the back as well, which is going to have quite a lot of bulk left. And there's nothing that Petalman can do here physically. Like, there's absolutely nothing. There is nothing that can happen here anymore. Even this KO doesn't really matter. Sucker Punch is going to be enough. Lapras is going to be enough. The Corsola is energy dry. And this is going to be it. And this means we're going to have a bracket reset. And the next best of 5 we're going to show who's going to be the next world champion. The bracket has been reset. And we're going to have, an interesting matchup. We're going to have the Credilli against the Steelix. That is going to be quite neutral. Because what we see here is that Petalman has to go for Grass in order to damage. But both fast moves are going to be resisted. The acid actually triple resisted, doing literally 1 damage the entire time. So it's all down basically to the charge move pressure that you're going to have with the with the Credilli here. But we see here already the Petalman goes for the bait. I don't know why, but goes for the Rock Tomb. It's gonna be resisted here from double resisted, I think, even from the Steelix, doing basically no damage. This is going to be an interesting play because now Petalman is quite far behind. Steelix is still quite healthy. Of course, it still does actually the same amount of damage because it can drop the defense the entire time with Psychic Fangs. But Petalman has to try to play it out here, try to go for 2 Grass Knot. And I think that Petalman most likely knows that 2 Grass Knots are not enough to knock out that Steelix, and you need to have a little bit of damage before. They most likely just know the matchup a little bit better and know that they need 3 charge boosts total. And it's best to just go for the debuffing move first and then try to go for 2 Grass Knots. But we saw here the catch already onto the Moltres, and as we already discussed previously, Moltres is so strong against Petalman's lineup that you have to kind of keep it alive. Use all your shields on the Moltres and just try to do as much pressure as possible with this Pokemon. As you see the Fly coming in, we might see the shield here for a potential Brave Bird, but I'm not too sure if this is going to happen. It's not going to happen here because he already debuffed as well from the Rock Tomb from Credilli. Petalman using the double Rock Tomb users here is kind of an interesting strategy. It's like definitely one of the top meta strategies currently, because Rock Tomb is seemingly one of the strongest moves ever created, to be fair. Like, having the damage output, having the accessibility on bulky Pokemon, having the guaranteed drop of the opponent's attack is quite crazy on a move like this. I think 50 more damage for 5 more energy compared to an Icy Wind, and that's just kind of wild. And so here we will see another Phantom coming through from Petalman against its Steelix. And honestly, Beelzeboy is still in a very, very solid position here, because kind of slowly but surely, Petalman is kind of running out of health. There's not really a lot that's going to be happening there anymore. We're going to have the Corsola coming in. We have the Psychic Fangs coming in. Great call here. Could have been a Crunch. Crunch is going to be super effective against this Pokemon. And we see here the Crunch coming in now. Do they shield? They no shield immediately. And that's a super effective Shadow Crunch on a debuffed Corsola, doing a massive amount of damage there. And as we will see here, that's going to be a close one, but Beelzeboy only going to have the Lapras back in the back there. Can we see a catch here? Can we see a catch onto you? We see a catch, but it doesn't actually work out, but it still works out because the Corsola is just going to go down in time. Which means at this point, this game is kinda over. What can really take out the Lapras at this point? Nothing. They have to kinda invest a shield here, I think, because otherwise, what can really happen here? But they're not going to use a shield. It's all down to the Credilli, and Credilli yeah, just gonna get farmed down here. Paramount knows as well. They gave up already at this point. I think they're just tapping. They're not gonna go for a charge move anymore. Neither of the trainers gonna go for a charge move because no, this game is over and it's gonna be 1-0 for Beelzeboy. The next battle is up, and we see the interesting detail again of Corsair against Lapras, which is generally very favorable for Patamon. But honestly, Patamon is in such a tough spot. Already losing the first best of 5 here, but not only this, you're also going to be now in a position where you know already you have that team disadvantage, you have a clear team disadvantage, and you kind of still have to try to come back from, even though the lead loss already in the next set, which is going to be such a tough task. And as you see here, they're actually in a very solid position now. The Rock Tomb is coming in, that's going to get the drop onto that Moltres, and as we are going to see, we're going to have, you know, the fly coming in from the Moltres. This is going to allow Paramount to use a shield here. I guess they kind of just want to get rid of the shields from that Moltres here as well. But yeah, as you can see, that's going to be mostly another shield coming up. Again, it's quite the same play that Beelzeboy does the entire time, where we're going to just have the shields all on to that Moltres. And so yeah, we are going to see here that we're going to have the charge move coming in, and this is going to be kind of crucial because Beelzeboy would have been able to swap out in time or would have been able to go for a charge move, but actually the Power Gem is going to knock out that Moltres, and this is going to be such a crucial moment of this battle, because if they were able to catch the move onto the Steelix, they would have been able to be in such a big advantage, but now it's actually going to be here the Steelix that is going to be up against the Corsair, but yeah, Moltres is going to be gone, the energy is going to be gone, and Patamon is in such a good position here that there is not a lot that really can go wrong. You still have a full health Lapras in the back, with a bow tie, by the way, which gives extra style points, which is actually really, really cool. And so, yeah, as we will see here as well, we are going to be able to go ahead and go for the charge move again with that Corsair, and that should be kind of it. Like, this should be kind of where yeah, Patamon is going to be able to win this battle, because what is going to happen against that Lapras now? Lapras against Lapras. Yeah, there's nothing that can happen anymore. Like, this is literally over. Beelzeboy is going to lose this one. It's going to be 1-1, which is going to make it a very, very interesting finals. Literally everything that you kind of want so far. Very, very close matchups, and already a bracket reset, which is quite interesting. So let's see what is going to be happening for the next battle, because now it's just going to be Lapras against Lapras. Everybody knows at this point it's game over. Like, there's nothing that can happen here anymore. They're both kind of in the same position. We're going to have here still the Corsair in the back. We still have a Credilli in the back. Like, this is going to be it for Patamon. Like, that's kind of it for that one for sure. But kind of interesting. We can maybe take the time here to look at Pokemon that haven't been really brought yet. We're going to have Golisopod, which got like shown once. Patamon actually used all of the Pokemon already, while Beelzeboy kind of really relies on that Steelix, kind of really relies on the Lapras, kind of really relies on the Moltres. Annihilate has a very solid matchup. I don't really think that there is any point of bringing that Marowak or the Tinkaton in this matchup, but we might be able to see the Annihilate, which has a great matchup against, for example, the Lapras or the Credilli in maybe one of the next battles. Game number 3 from the Grand Finals bracket reset is on the way. We're going to have here the Annihilate now. What you just said here, Annihilate actually is a lot of play. There's only one real answer. Actually, two kind of answers. Golisopod as well as the Corsair are both good answers. But basically, Patamon encountered the Annihilate in the one and only position where it doesn't want to face it, which is going to be such a tough one. Because this Golisopod is actually running Shadow Claw, we're going to see here as well that the Moltres is going to have quite a solid matchup, being able to resist that fast move while doing a lot of damage and also having super effective charge attacks here as well. And basically, what Beelzeboy could do is just force switch advantage. I'm gonna see here that they decide to go for the extra free fast move, because I think they're gonna lose CMP tie against the Golisopod. And they know that. And now they could just go for the fly to force either the shield or the KO. And as we will see here, this is going to be a definitely enough to get that KO from that tiny bit of range with a super effective fly. And we have the realignment. And the realignment means that the Credilli has to not only face an Annihilate, it also has to face a big Brave Bird. And this is going to be a crucial moment of this battle, because do they gonna shield? Do they not gonna shield? What's Patamon gonna do? They're gonna decide to use a shield against the Brave Bird, which I do think is the right choice. At the end of the day, you have a lot of energy stored already on that Credilli. And do we see the shield coming up here from Beelzeboy on that Grass Knot? We are not gonna see that. They decided to let the move go, which is quite interesting. As we are going to see here as well, we're going to have the Lapras coming in. We're going to have the Power Gym coming through as well. And as we will see, there's going to be here the Power Gem coming in against the Lapras, getting his shield up actually, which makes a lot of sense, super effective damage. And I think that Beelzeboy mostly going to try to get a little bit of an extra energy advantage here. Because what we will have next is the swap very likely into that Credilli. But an Ice Beam against the Credilli would actually do a lot of damage. So Lapras still definitely has enough bulk to take a Power Gem, but also it's going to be a bit of a tough one. Like, it's definitely going to be in range now for Sparkling Area. Sparkling Area should be enough with a little bit more fast move pressure in order to win this battle. But as we will see, we're going to have another Sparkling Area nearly loaded, and Patamon tried to swap out in the animation, tried to wait it out here. But as we will see, this is going to be it for that Corsair. It goes down, but can Beelzeboy still reach his Ice Beam in time? Let's find out here. It's going to be so crucial, and yes, they can reach this Ice Beam in time. This is going to allow them to do a lot of damage, but is it going to be enough to knock out the Credilli? It is, and with that, this is going to be 2-1 to Beelzeboy. And game number 4 of the grand final reset is on now, and we will see, at least that's actually, in my opinion, a little bit better for Beelzeboy, because what we will see here is that you're going to have the crunch on that Steelix, which is going to do a lot of damage and can pressure shields early, but also it kind of puts them into a position where most likely the Corsair is going to either end up winning this matchup with maybe using a shield. I'm not too sure. It's going to be such an interesting matchup. I'm honestly not too sure on how this is going to work out, because I think they're going to outspeed her with a Nightshade. But then again, isn't it in in Beelzeboy's best interest to just let it go, get the energy advantage on that Moltres and try to sweep with that? I think that's kind of the plan. Like, this is like the kind of powerful thing that Beelzeboy can do here. And we see again the Lapras and the Moltres together in the back, which means that here we see already the swap straight away from Patamon into the Lapras, but Beelzeboy can just go for 6 fast moves here and easily can swap out here. Okay, we even see 7 fast moves and easily can swap out into the own Lapras to take all the energy. What Patamon's best play would have been there now in hindsight would have been just to go straight for, I think, the Sparkling Area. It would have not done enough damage, but it would have at least done a bit more than what we will see here with the Sparkling Area against the opponent's Lapras. And so, as we see as well, even though that Beelzeboy swapped in quite late into the Lapras, we see that they're kind of in similar health ranges because of all the Sucker Punch damage that came in previously, which does basically as much as that Sparkling Area. As we see as well, we're going to have 2 charge moves on Beelzeboy's side, which kind of just covers up for a potential matchup afterwards, for example against that Corsair if then wants to come back in, but also against the Credilli if you want to go for an Ice Beam there. Corsair is going to be able to catch the move here. This is kind of the only way for Patamon to still come back here to catch the move, and we see the Ender Charge from Beelzeboy trying to get some energy here now onto that Moltres, and Moltres looks kind of like it could sweep the entire battle. We have Lapras still with energy, but we're going to have here also, oh, that's an interesting play. Going straight here for the move is actually not ideal, because it kind of tells them already, okay, it's not going to be Brave Bird. They're not going to go that early for a Brave Bird, and it's going to be just a Fly here, so Patamon was able to just let the move go. We have a Fly stored again. We see that they decide to overfarm by quite a bit because they kind of want to have 2 moves stored with that Lapras still having a charge move. We see the shield coming up. This is going to be a Rock Tomb coming in, and it's looking actually really good for Beelzeboy. What we see here is that they can just go for a Fly where at 100 energy on that Moltres. Patamon uses a shield. You can just go for a Fly again for the next shield, and I'm fairly certain as long as you shield up here the Moltres, this should be it, and Beelzeboy should be able to become the next world champion. Because what we see here is that we're gonna get both shields from the Credilli, and what Beelzeboy can just do is stay in here, take the Rock Tomb, shield this move up, and swap it straight away into your own Lapras. Lapras has some energy, but we don't see a shield here. This makes it all way more difficult for Beelzeboy, because I don't really know why this has happened here, because it's just going to make it impossible to win. If they decided to go ahead and shield up the Moltres, they would have forced now 2 charge moves from the Lapras onto your Lapras, because what we see here is that this next Sparkling Area is not going to be enough from this range. We already know this from the damage that we saw before. It's not going to be enough. Beelzeboy still can get to another Sparkling Area, and if they just swapped out, they would have been either able to go back into the Moltres then and farm them down, or they would have been able to just win like this already as well. And now it's going to be Lapras against the Credilli, and Patamon is going to take this game here, but I do think that Beelzeboy definitely had the chance of winning this one here already. But all this kinda just sets up the final battle of this World Championships, the Grand Finals reset. We're going to have actually a very solid lead here for P4t0m4n, but also a very interesting play here from Beelzeboy, knowing that P4t0m4n was they want to swap out of here, actually staying in for a tiny bit of time over that Lapras to try to get some energy advantage, and then swapping out into the Moltres, knowing that this is like such a matchup that you don't really want to stay in as a Corsola at all. And we see the swap in here into the Credilli. And as we see here, we're going to see all the shields coming in again onto that Moltres, allowing it to force alignment. And we have now a very interesting position here for P4t0m4n, where they have to decide here, so what do they want to do? Do they want to go ahead and go for that Rock Tomb? And yeah, they want to go ahead and go for the Rock Tomb and decide to use a shield here first. This is going to be basically getting rid of all the shields there nearly. We're going to have one more shield still left on P4t0m4n's side. And we see the shield here coming up for that Moltres again. What you see in every single battle so far is that all of the shields go on top of that Moltres. We see the Corsola coming back in, but this time around, not like in game 2, they're actually able to swap out in time, where they decide to now go into the Crunch Steelix, which makes a lot of sense. But yeah, mistake basically being made in the second battle of the bracket reset, but now we don't see the same mistake happening here again. We see the Corsola having to go for the energy against the Steelix. Another Nightshade is going to be enough, most likely from like one more fast move extra here. I think one more Astonish is needed in order to knock out that Steelix. But the Crunch is going to get shielded now, and it's all down to basically this Corsola. We see here that, basically, P4t0m4n is going to go up to 100 energy, which means we have a lot of charge move pressure here still on off that Corsola. Corsola can knock out basically everything, but also we still have our Moltres, which has a lot of energy, I think, still left. So, like, it's going to be an interesting one here. It's going to be a very, very interesting one. As a Lapras still also surviving this here as well, we have the old Lapras coming in here from Beelzeboy, and we see this straightaway Brave Bird. This Brave Bird makes a lot of sense because the fast move pressure isn't existing here from that Lapras. Like at all. Like Lapras doesn't do any damage here whatsoever with a fast move. So even with a double debuff, it doesn't really matter, as they still have to always go for the Sparkling Area to knock you out. And so basically you kind of put yourself into a position where you can go for the full farm down with your own Lapras. And this might completely decide the battle here, because what we see is the full farm down happening right now, as the Sparkling Area is barely going to touch the Lapras of Beelzeboy. The energy that you're going to be able to generate here as a Beelzeboy's Lapras is going to be so crucial in order to go for an Ice Beam against it. Of course, an Ice Beam is needed. Sparkling Area is not in range for it yet, and a Sparkling Area against that Credilli. As you can see here, we have two Sparkling Areas. Do they just go blind for the Sparkling Area? No, they went straight for the Ice Beam, predicting the swap in here from P4t0m4n into that Corsola and winning this battle and becoming a world champion. What a world championship, just generally. Like, what a finals. We have a bracket reset, we have a 2-on-2 here, and we would basically here have a winner that wins with a lot of great plays, but also of course with a ginormous advantage in terms of team comp for that finals, which definitely helped out quite a bit as well. Shout out to P4t0m4n as well. Being at number 2 here is such a ginormous achievement as well. Number 2 in the world championship, you still get like a really cool cup there as well. It's such a cool thing to see. Like, this was an amazing final. It's such a cool story again for Beelzeboy, being able to completely come back from the loser side there as well to win the world championships. Huge congrats, huge congrats here. That's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, this is gonna be it for this year. Let's see what the next year for Pokemon Go PvP gonna bring in the Play Pokemon tournament.